then we can think life is not easy, that life in samsara or samsaric life is not so easy. A lot of challenges. Difficulties, painful experiences time to time. But also is not as miserable as sometimes we might feel. Whether our life become extremely miserable or less miserable, even in samsara, depend on our mind, state of our mind, not the external conditions. With the practice, meditations, if we can build a strong mind, peaceful mind, calm mind, our life can be still. Even samsara, our life can be still, quite manageable, not so miserable, can be quite joyful as well. And we have a lot of potential to make not only our life more peaceful, calm, joyful, but to be able to help and benefit others. In so many different ways. Physically, externally, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. We can be always help and benefit to others, either through one of those ways. Directly, indirectly. Even it means sometimes through prayers, dedications. By sending the positive energy, love, compassion, prayers. Therefore, we don't have to feel this, that I can't be much help and benefit to others. There's always way, and there's always some ways to be help and benefit. Therefore, if we can utilize our life for that purpose, this life can be extremely meaningful and beneficial, worthwhile. Therefore, we shouldn't waste this incredible opportunity and make most of it. And to be able to make our life meaningful for others and oneself, we need to take care of our mind, learn about our own mind, through studies, reflections, reflecting, contemplating, meditating, and so forth. And that is why we have come here together, with the hope that we can encourage each other, we can inspire each other, we can remind each other with that important message, awareness. And practice. So we can try to apply, implement as much as possible, little by little, day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year. And slowly, slowly transforming and changing our attitude, our behavior, our interactions with ourselves and with others. So that we learn and we try to interact more kindly, more compassionate way, more gentle way, with more understanding, with more patience, and with more wisdom with ourselves and with others. And may our act of coming together here and sharing, encouraging, inspiring each others, may these become cause and conditions for oneself and all sentient beings to obtain and achieve our own highest potential, the fully awakened state. The most perfect and complete state of being. Okay. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the fourth destroyer, the completely perfect, fully awakened being, perfect knowledge and in good conduct, Sugat, and all of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings to you, the complete and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroy, the glorious conqueror, the subdue from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offering and go for refuge. Homage to the Supreme Buddha, homage to the Dhamma refuge, homage to the great Sangha, to all three, before devout homage, to all worthy of respect, bowing the body as many as all realms, atoms in all aspects. With their supreme faith, I pay homage. Do not commit any non-virtuous action, perform only perfect virtuous action, subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of Buddha. A star, a visual aberrations, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew, or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through this merit, may sentient beings attain the rank of all seeing, subdue the four faults, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, preserved by the wave of aging, sickness, and death. 사시베기 중심에도 다리라 랭제 인데게 반디 상계신도 미대오와 도근 나마다신 I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient. Sangye chodang soge sonam la changcho bado dane kyasa. Dagi Geshe Gibe Sonamge, Dola Penje Sangye Juba, Sangye Chodang Sogi Sonam La, Chanchu Padadane. Dagi Geshe Gibe Sonamge, Dola Penje Sangye Juba, Sangye Chodang Sogi Sonam La, Chanchu Padadane. Dagi Geshe Gibe Sonamge, Dola Penje Sangye Juba, So today is the kind of the last day of the Sunday class of this year, and as we were reciting the prayer, it feels like 6 months have been like a very quick. Just feel like yesterday, as all condition phenomena, like dew of, like a drop of the dew, drop the dew, it looks very solid. It looks like it's going to last long, but the moment the sun comes, it's gone. Very quick, and life is like that. Sometimes when you think of, life, it feels like it's going to be a long, and when we think of a year, it feels like it's long. Even a month sometimes feel like long, but actually it goes so fast, we don't realize how time has gone so fast. And every year, I feel like that, I come here 6 months, and 6 months just pass so quickly. Doesn't feel like it has been 6 months. And so that just shows life is going very fast, and yeah. So during those 6 months, on the Sunday, we have been going through this particular Lojong text, 7 point of mind training. And at the very beginning, I thought maybe it might take 2 months, 3 months. But as we went by, it took 6 months, but we are finishing today. The good thing is we are finishing, okay? And yeah, and I guess sometime, yeah. So anyway, when I first was planning, I was planning for 2-3 months, this particular text. But anyway, like a lot of time, I don't have a good sense of how long it takes. And I don't have a good sense of planning, even day by day, even teaching, I might have some thoughts, what I want to cover, what I want to say, or what I want to touch on. But sometimes once I'm started the class, then sometimes my mind goes somewhere else and lead from one to another. And so I think that probably that is the case. So yeah, those 6 point or 7 point, sorry, 7 point of the mind training, as we have discussed before, the preliminary and then actual training in the two bodhicitta, and then transforming the difficult circumstances into the path, and then kind of how do we know when we have kind of, whether you call it measurement or of having trained the mind. So what are the signs, internal signs, that when we have make a progress in the path, in the Lojong path, what are the signs? I think it is called the measurement of having trained, and then integrating the whole practice in one lifetime. And then the commitments of the Lojong, and the 7 is the precept or the advice of the Lojong. And within that, there's 20 or 21 precepts, and I think we have finished up to 17, and we are on the 18th. So the 18th says release, investigation, and analysis. I think the translation seems too little, and so it is hard to get exact what it means. In one of other translation is attain liberation with the two, investigation and analyze. I think that is more, how to find freedom, or how to liberate ourselves through the investigation and analysis or examinations. And so here it explains the need of the complementary of the insight, or maybe insight or the wisdom with the compassions, So we talk a lot about compassions, So the compassion has to be complemented and supported by the wisdom. And you see in many of as Chandrakirti in his middle way, President Madhyamika, as he said, we need the two wings to fly over the ocean of samsara to the shore of the enlightenment, the wisdom of compassion, the wing of compassion and the wing of wisdom, and so, and in order to have that special insight of the wisdom, then analyze is very important. Only through investigations, examinations, or here investigation analysis that we can develop that insight, that wisdom. That insight, that wisdom come through investigations, analysis. Also, the way to overcome all the defilements, all the delusions is through, analytical meditations that require analysis and examinations, or investigation and analysis or examinations, And so in order to have that freedom from the delusions, afflictive emotions, then that kind of investigation analysis is crucial. So it is very important to kind of caution ourselves, ask this caution time to time to ourselves. What is the nature of the self? What is the nature of my mind? What is the nature of our ultimate reality and truth? What is the nature of all those defilements? How does those defilements functions? How does those defilements affect us and others? What are the cause and conditions that give rise to those afflictive emotions? Those defilements. What are the method, practice to overcome those defilements? So that kind of constantly, that kind of cautioning ourselves, investigating, analyzing is very important. Very important to have a more deeper understanding. So here we find two words, investigation and analyze. In some investigation and examination, but in Tibetan it is tok and chö. And investigation, the first one meaning more kind of investigating in more general term. Then second, analyze or examination mean going more in details. So like everything, sometimes we go through general investigation, analysis, and then later we go more into details. So there are two ways of investigating, general and then going more detail into that. Just like in everything, sometimes if we have some plan, we have master plan, general, and then we go detail in each of different, within the master plan, there are many others area where you need to go details, each of them, Sometimes don't you hear, sometimes I hear the devil is in the details. A lot of those political, in the political, when they are trying to find some kind of consensus, their struggles when they go to the details. And because it is important, without those details, even if you have general consensus, if you don't go detail, then that could come conflict in the futures, when you are trying to implement it, then all those lot of difficulty arises. And same thing in our spiritual practice. We, at the very beginning, we have a general kind of analysis, general understanding, and then it is not enough just kind of having general investigation, general understanding. We need to have go more details to have more profound, more depth understanding. In order to have more depth understanding, deeper understanding, more profound understanding, then we need to go more details. Just like everything else, sometimes also in spiritual, we don't like to go in the details. Sometimes we like to do just general. It's easier, it's more soothing, it's more easier. When we go to the details, then it becomes a lot of informations. But that is required and needed, more depth, more to go be able to detail. And so that is where, so through that kind of investigation analysis, we try to see whether we have any afflicted emotions, delusion, strong delusion, afflicted emotions, analyzing time to time, what kind of delusion that I'm being bothered now. Sometimes it might be kind of, anger. Sometimes it might be jealousy. Sometimes it might be strong craving, desire. Sometimes it can be, frustration, impatience. Sometimes it might be kind of feeling of strong anxiety, fear, whatever, kind of analyzing what is going, time to time. And then when you see any kind of emotion bothering us in that moment, recognizing that and then trying to apply whatever method, practice, meditation that we have access to, that we can, so that we can reduce that emotions that is bothering us. So we can reduce and we can overcome that emotions that is bothering us, any of those afflicted emotions. And so that we can work on that by applying whatever antidote, whatever meditations that we are aware of, that we have access, that we know, applying them. And if we feel that we don't have any emotion that is bothering me at the moment, any kind of afflicting emotions that is bothering me, and we analyze, is it that because of my practice, or is it because there's no one to bother me? Sometimes we feel, my mind is so calm, peaceful, not upset, not angry, not disturbed. And sometimes we might think, oh, my practice seems like my practice is doing very well. Analyzing, is that really so? Is that really because I'm able to apply those teachings? Or it is just that at the moment there is no one to disturb me and bother me, because I'm not in contact with any object that give rise to that. No one to challenge me. No one to, push the burden. And then sometimes, then you go and come in the contact or with the close to the object that can, that can kind of disturb your mind or not. Someone who is more unkind, someone who is more nasty, someone who is more, and then when you are close to them and when you notice their behavior that you don't like, you don't agree, their behavior, their actions, and still it doesn't disturb your mind, then that is good sign. Then that means definitely due to your practice. But when in that moment, then you see, immediately now suddenly emotion arises from, you thought it was no more there, but it's boom, it just arises. And that means we still need to work on our practice. Still, we need to work on that. It is good to do that kind of analysis time to time. Because Lord, sometimes we feel like, oh, maybe I don't need to practice so much. My mind seems calm, peaceful. Well, sometimes if that is the case all the time, then it's good. But sometimes it's not it's just because we are not, we're distant from the objects. And once we come to in contact with the object, then those delusion arises. And so checking ourselves time to time, investigating that way, and then immediately when any negative emotions, defilement arises, immediately trying to apply the whatever practice meditations that that can be helpful. And through that, then we can slowly through that, then we can free ourselves and liberate ourselves from all those defilements, all these delusions. And through that, then we can really find, we can achieve real freedom and nirvana, enlightenment. So, and especially here, especially analyzing with a selfish attitude and self-grasping ignorance, seeing whether I have selfish attitude, self-grasping ignorance or not. Sometimes we might feel, oh, I don't have so much strong selfish attitude or self-grasping. Sometimes it might feel that, but because conditions are not there. But when certain cause and condition come, then we notice strong selfish attitude, very strong ignorance. And so analyzing, creating the cause and condition to check out whether it is our delusion not arising because due to lack of conditions or is due to our practice. Time to time is helpful to do that. So in that way, we try to evaluate our practice, knowing where we are and how much we need to practice, how we need to continue to grow and practice. So so that is the meaning here of that, the 18, yeah, I think it's important, I think, because there is one story that you often hear in some of the teachings, There is someone, it is a story in Tibet, and there is the main temple in Lhasa, one of the most holy temple in Tibet, in Lhasa, Cho temple. And there was someone who was on the side, kind of meditating. And someone saw the person meditating there, and I think it was someone he knew and asking him what he was doing. And he said, oh, I'm meditating. And then he said, what are you meditating on? He said, oh, I'm meditating on patience. And the guy who was asking the question said, oh, really? If you're meditating on patience, eat the shit. And eat the shit, And the guy who was meditating got very upset and said, you eat the shit, not me, you eat the shit. And then the guy who was asking question, then he said, is that what your practice of patience is? So that is where, when he was not being, when the meditator was not being pushed or challenged, he felt he was doing well. He was calm, peaceful, and his mind was not upset, not disturbed. So he thought he was doing quite well until that person pushed the button, until that person, and that person was just checking, he was just checking whether he was really doing his practice well or not. That is why he said that eat the shit, just to make him kind of how he responds and how it affects his mind and how he able to deal with that. So he was just kind of checking it. And so he intentionally said that. But that is an example of how a lot of time we might feel we are doing well until something stucks. We feel we are doing well until some situation arises in our life, difficult situation arises in our life, certain cause and condition arises in our life. Then we behave like totally another person. Totally different person, becoming like almost like crazy, And so therefore, it's really important to really understand, where we really are, where our practice is really, where really our practice is, to do that kind of investigation and examination will be helpful, so that we don't kind of deceive ourselves, that we don't kind of, deceive ourselves in that way. And then 19 said, don't be boastful. Boastful. In some, there is a sense of, there is a different translation, don't have, don't expect gratitude or something. So anyway, here, what it means is, when we're trying to be kind, gentle, helpful to one individual, one person's, or to the society, to many, big, if we don't watch our mind, we can become a very boastful, pride and boastful, feeling, oh, I'm helping this person, I'm helping this person, I help this person, I help that person. I did this and that for this individual, to this organization, to the society, this and that. So your very act of trying to help and compassion can become a source for our to grow our selfish attitude, our egoistic mind, our pride. And if that happens, then, our practice of love, compassion, kindness is being kind of diluted, polluted. So that's why we shouldn't be boasting, especially in our now modern time, We want to have everywhere, whatever we do, even small help, we want to have in all social media, everyone to know about it. A lot of real practitioners, they don't talk about how much they have helped, how much they have benefited, unless in certain situation where it is really beneficial to share that. In some situation, it can be helpful to share, and for certain people, unless they're that, they don't go on boasting, what they have done, this and that. Because it only increases our egoistic mind. The whole Lojong practice to reduce our egoistic mind. And therefore, for our help and support that or benefit that we did, individual, one person, many, or society, we shouldn't have sense of feeling of them being in debt to ourselves, obligated to ourselves because we have helped them. Do you get it? Sometimes we feel that because I've supported that person should respond in a certain way, as though that they are in debt to me, they are obligated to me. Whether it's individual or whether it's organizations, because I did so much to you, I did so much for this organization, I should be treated better. That is sometimes what we feel. That's how we feel. Sometimes they should be treating me better. That's not the way they should treat me. There's a sense of feeling in debt and obligation from others for what we have done to them. When that kind of mental attitude comes, then again, it is, kind of polluting and diluting our true sense of love, compassion, true sense of care. Because true love, true compassion, true sense of care is just being for them, just helping them. There's no sense of them being in debt to me or they are obligated to me because I did this and that. Because they needed help and because I could be helped. That's it. Because they were in the need of help and I had the opportunity and capacity, the ability to be able to be helped, benefit, and I was able to do that, that's great. That's it. But, for a lot of, for us, a lot of us, there is we want them to, the sense of feeling in debt and obligation, and we feel like they should treat us differently, because of that. So instead of that, then that practice, instead of being able to reduce our selfish attitude and egoistic mind, it could increase our that, egoistic mind. And so therefore the advice is not to do that, not to do that. And not only we feel that way, sometimes we say, and make others feel very bad, oh, how dare, when you are in the needs, I help you, and now this is how you respond, you know. And then we can come with all lists. I did this, I did this. Do you remember? I did this. Do you remember? I did this. All the list. And so then, there is a saying, Tibetan saying, destroying your footprint by your hand. So you have footprint, and then your hand kind of clear it. And so at the end, there's no footprint at all. With each footprint you make it, you kind of clear it by your hand, footprint. There's saying like that. Similarly, we create something virtuous, something positive, and then we destroy that with that kind of, later we destroy that with that kind of attitude and that kind of behavior and actions. So, yeah. And then 20, don't be short-tempered. So the advice is not to react impulsively with such anger and irritations, which we do very often, and become a very kind of short-tempered in that way, And if we kind of give ourselves to our impulsive response in such way, then we can never overcome them, such behavior, such response. Instead, trying to, when someone is acting in certain way, someone is having certain attitude, acting in certain way, behaving in certain way, and our normal impulsive reactions, response would be, kind of anger. But instead, trying to be more mindful, watchful, and not allowing that, even though our impulsive natural response coming there, but with one side of your mind, you are being aware of that. And through that awareness, trying to control that, trying to have some control on that kind of, impulsive reactions, response, and trying to gain more control over your own mind, your own emotions. Being short-tempered with anger, hatred, resentment, grudges, kind of damage our loving kind, our good heartedness, loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta mind. It damage, And when you are practicing the Lojong, our focus is bodhicitta and the wisdom. And so it is damaging the bodhicitta mind. It damages our bodhicitta mind, loving kindness, compassion, our good heart, our goodness, you know. So it damages our spiritual, our emotions, our spiritual path, as well as it damages our physical health as well. The more short-tempered you are, the more it affects your both emotional and physical health. And definitely, it damages our spiritual path. And even if you feel it, you don't have to express that all the time, through our speech and through that, because it's not helpful. It doesn't solve the problem. It makes the problem bigger. It doesn't solve the conflict. It only increases the conflict. So the moment you notice and aware any of those emotions such as anger, hatred, resentment, grudges arise, immediately try to apply the meditations practice. Immediately try to apply the meditation practice. Whatever form of practice meditations that you are good at, that either it could be mindfulness meditation, it could be meditation on loving kindness, compassion, it could be meditations on patience, it could be meditations on the nature of the delusion itself, it could be meditation on the impermanence, it could be meditation on emptiness, whatever meditation you find most effective among those different meditations, whatever particular meditation practice you find more effective, helpful in reducing and overcoming that emotions, you try to apply quickly as possible, as quick as possible. And trying to relax physically, emotionally, in whatever way it can make you more relaxed. Yeah. If the walking help, you can do that. If the exercise help, you can do that. So we can apply whatever different method, different way to kind of subdue that negative emotions and make it more less and less stronger, and eventually to be able to overcome it and work with our mind in a slowly. It will take time and a lot of practice, that eventually, even when someone is nasty to you or others, even when someone is unkind, cruel to you and others, and they act and behave that doesn't disturb your mind, where anger arises, hatred arises, where we reach a point there, then their behavior, their action, their attitude doesn't disturb you at all. But, it is a gradual process, and consistent practice, continuity practice. It's not going to go. It is not going to happen in a instantly like that to have that kind of result. So that is don't be short-tempered. Maybe we will have a little break now, 10 minutes of break, and then we'll continue. Okay. There seems to be a couple of questions. There is one questions, one student who says, can you please repeat the Tibetan story about the footprints? It is not a story, it is a Tibetan saying. So it's a Tibetan saying, like if you are one footprint, whether it's the mud or whether it's hit with your hand. So there is no food. So that is the saying is because each time you have footprint, you kind of clear it with your hand, and so that is the saying. And then there is another question. My mental continuum continue from one life to next. It contains my karmic seed. What is the difference between this and the idea of a soul? I think I don't know deep enough about idea of the soul, but from whatever I know a little bit or I've heard, is that the soul is idea of permanent, whereas our mental continuum is ever changing. And our karmic seeds are ever changing. We are not carrying the karmic seed all the time. Karmic seeds, sometimes you purify through practice, sometimes you purify through your experiencing the karmic result. And again, new karma is constantly changing by changing in the immediate cause and conditions through practice, through experiencing it different ways. The karma is changing, the consciousness, the continuum mind is changing all the time. One moment is more diluted consciousness. Next moment through practice, it might be more enlightened consciousness. It might be more, again, even though it's same continuum, it keep on changing. So therefore it's not same as the soul, which is permanent, unchanging. And I think maybe that might be the one differences. Yeah. Then there is another one. I've heard or read suggestion that one make a separate little card for each Lojong slogan and pick one at random each day for the contemplation. Do you think this is a good strategy to cover all of them, or is it better to work on issue you know are problematic for you? Yeah, I think there are a lot of different advice suggestions by different teachers, like Lama Sopa Rinpoche has advice, and like in the land of medicine Buddha, there is hike, and it is called 8 verses of the mind hike or something. So as you hike from place to place, there is those verses and people to sit and reflect. And so some teachers that kind of advice, whether it's um, all this slogan or whether you use 8 verses mind training or different mind training, you know, some of them they might go through one slogan one by one every day, you know. So each day you go different slogan, you know, one by one each day. That is one way, and the other one is taking randomly with a card or whatever slogan is written, and that. And so I guess it depends, you know. I think it would be good to work with something which we are having a more problematic particular issue in that time, and then taking slogan that is related with that, you know, whatever um, whatever is kind of bothering us or affecting us uh, during the day or during the week or month, and any slogan or any verses that is related with that, we try to implement that more and work with that more. And then when we don't have any specific problem or specific something that is bothering us or affecting us, in those days, maybe you might just do either you can go each slogan one by one, or maybe you can do randomly. You know, I don't know. I think more than randomly, I think it will be more effective. I think you work with whatever is affecting you that and related to that. And when it's not like that, then you go through each slogan and working with each of them more. So I think that is my kind of take on that, my suggestions, you know. But as I mentioned, there are many different uh, suggestions. So each of you decide, you know, what is more effective to you and apply that. I think the beauty of Dharma is that, you know, one particular suggestions, advice might be more effective to someone else, and another advice suggestion might be more effective to someone else. So I think basically there are different suggestions and recommendation, and you just find which will be more effective to you and try to do that. And then there was something, a reminder for the meditations from one of the student requests last week, but I don't know who requested. I think it's, and also the meditation was requested on rejoicing, but I don't remember whether it was rejoicing your virtues or rejoicing someone else's virtues, or rejoicing for someone or yours. So I don't know exactly, but there was a request last week on meditation on rejoice, which I haven't been able to do. So if the person is here, then it will be nice to know whether that the practice that you want is to do rejoicing for your own virtues and your own goodness, or for someone else or others, because we can do all of that, but I think in a short period, when you do too many things, then you don't really feel so much, you know, you don't have time to really, and so it would be better to just focus on one, whether it's yours or someone else, others' virtues, you know. So if the person is still here, then I would like to hear which particular one they were requesting. And then continuing the advice, next one is 21. Don't make a short-lived attempt. Again, I kind of doesn't like the translation so much. Do not act. Another translation says, do not act Impetuously. What is impetuously?
Maybe it means impetuously.
Yeah, impetuously. What does that mean?
Basically, without thinking.
Okay. What it means basically is, we should be more balanced and even instead of being unbalanced and uneven, especially with expressing our emotions. You know, would like to. Sometimes I think especially in modern days, and especially in certain society, there's a sense of feeling you need to express all your emotion to others all the time. Oh, I feel this way, I feel that way, I feel this way, this and that, and how, all the time. It is almost like that, you know, we don't have to be like a, we don't have to express this, our mind, which has a lot of drama, each moment, changing each moment, different emotions. That can be very confusing in oneself and confusing to others. And sometimes it can be overwhelming to others as well. And by the way, those emotions are temporary, impermanent. They don't last much, you know. By the time you express it, probably your emotion has changed. While you are trying to talk with someone and telling what you are feeling and this and that, by that time your emotion, or probably by the end of your talk, or while you are in the process of talking, your emotion might have changed. And the next moment, your emotion is different, and you say it. So they are confused. One moment you say you are unhappy, upset, and that moment you are okay and good. And the next moment, because our emotion is so unstable, unreliable, changing all the time. And it's not necessary to express that all the time. You know, when we're when something good happens, we're so excited, so uplifted. When something bad happens, we become so kind of down, so depressed easily, so fluctuating our emotions, so easily up and down. That doesn't help yourself. It doesn't help others. Instead, we try to, here is saying, try to have more even, more balanced emotions. And that is good for ourselves. When you have that kind of more balance, more even, it gives you more stability, more calm, more peace. And it also affects people around you. People who feel more calm, peaceful, just being with that person. I've heard so many times at different places with different people you don't even know. Sometimes some people says, when they see someone, they say, oh, I feel so peaceful because of that person who is there is so calm, peaceful, so balanced. And so it helped their mind to be. On the other hand, if my emotions are up and down, and not only up and down, and I'm expressing up and down, then that also affects the person there. And their mind started to become up and down and unbalanced. Because the environment and around us affect us, we affect others around us. Um, It doesn't mean you suppress your emotion. You don't have to suppress your emotions. The practice is not to suppress your emotions. Suppressing your emotions and working with through meditation, working with your mind, your emotions is totally different. Suppressing is not a helpful, beneficial. Because if you suppress, one day it will explode. One day it will explode. You can't keep on suppressing forever. On the other hand, meditation, you bring up the emotion and you deal with that through practice. Meditation, you work with that. So it's not a suppressing. So we don't want to suppress the emotion at the same time. In terms of our emotion, in terms of our expressions, we try to be more even, more balanced, more stable. When good things happen, you don't have to jump up and down. And when bad things happen, you don't have to shut down everything yourself, shut your house and doesn't want to talk with everyone and nothing like that. We don't have to do that. That kind of behavior, can affect people around you and make them very confused. They don't know what to make of you. And sometimes people can have an impression of you based on those which is far away from who you really are. And they can make up their own kind of just based on how you express all the time, And it can be very habit. Even in monastery, we have some, monks, always complaining. And some has made even nicknamed them, Dukhi Ram. Dukh means like suffering, Dukhi is someone who is suffering. And Ram is just a name, Indian. So Dukhi Ram. And that means someone who doesn't have much to share good things. Always, oh, this is wrong, this is going back, always. So people doesn't want to be that around, they don't want to hear all the time their complaint. There's nothing much they can do to solve the complaint. I can hear people's complain. And a lot of time there is nothing much I can do. In some cases, I can maybe be able to maybe share some from Dharmic point of view, how to think. I can give emotional support and all of that, but sometimes there's not much you can really do it, in terms of really changing the situation itself. And then, and sometimes I wondered, one of the things I wondered is in these countries, people are sometimes being very overwhelmed. And one of the things I feel is because, you share your emotions so much, and normally when someone is having difficulties, you share that. You hear from your children, you hear from your friends, you hear from and constantly you are always hearing someone is sick, someone is having this problem, someone is this having, and that is how you are going to be overwhelmed. And sometimes it is, of course, different approach, and different people have different approach, different cultures have different approach, different people in dealing with those situation, but one of the difference that I find culturally here and from where I come from, you know, they don't necessarily share everything unless they feel there is a benefit. And I don't think they have a more emotional problem by not being able to share so much with everyone. You know, even my brothers and my relative, you know, sometimes they wouldn't share if one of my family members sick. And because they know there's nothing I can do, then worry. They will share later when they say, oh, father was sick and we took to the hospital, now he has recovered. But when he is sick, they wouldn't share it because they know that there is nothing I can do from here except then worry about it. And that is general kind of attitude. By sharing it, is by sharing that, can he help anything? Or it is going to make more worry and more anxiety and more fearful, which he can't do anything. And that has same, you know, my mom was similar, my dad was similar, and a lot of friends, you know, as I was saying, you know, if everyone starts sharing, you know, I will be hearing a problem every day from my family. My family is a very extensive family. And there's something happening every day with something, you know. And that is and sometimes I wonder, of course I can't say for sure, but sometimes I do wonder. Here I feel people being very overwhelmed. And one of the things I see is people always share all the time when there's something's happening, it feels like they have to share. And so when all your families, all your friends, someone is having problem with health, someone is having problem with some relationship, someone is having some problem with the job, healthy. And so you're constantly hearing all the problem all the time, every day. And after some time, it can feel overwhelming, you know. And so I think maybe balancing that is important. How much share, how much not to share, and what is the purpose of sharing? Is it going to help whatever situation to be less, or is it going to make someone more, you know, happier, better, you know? But if it doesn't serve much purpose by sharing, then just making someone really, really anxiety, worry, and fear, you know, I don't know whether it's so much worthwhile, all of that, you know. Of course, some important we have to share, you know, can't just, but how much to share and all that, you know, we have to kind of be, basically, first of us, ourselves, we have to be more stable emotions, more balanced emotions. We ourselves need to find that kind of balance, even more stable emotions. Not being affected so strongly when things go well, not being strongly affected when things go bad, to be able to remain more in a balanced way. And then also, how can we kind of create that kind of environment around people around us and in the wherever we are, and also, you know, at least reflecting, contemplating, you know, what are the benefit and what are the negative impact and positive impact of by sharing how much and not how much to share, how much not to share, and all of that. It is something to reflect, contemplate. Sometimes we don't think that way. Sometimes we are not aware that we are making someone overwhelmed, and when there isn't much they can do it. Of course, if someone can help you to make, maybe by sharing that, maybe, and be someone's advice, someone's that maybe it helped you to feel better and good. Maybe there is some purpose, but sometimes even that doesn't happen. And then it makes the other person much more overwhelmed, too much worry, too much. They have their own life, too much worry and anxiety, and then on top of that, then you constantly hear that it can be. I can see how it can be overwhelming, how it can make someone overwhelmed, how it can make someone depressing, helpless, you know. So it's interesting. It's interesting just to just to see two different culture, and then and different response or different way of interacting. And I can't say this is one is better than others. It's all up to us individually, try to figure out for ourselves individually what makes more sense, what makes more sense to us, what we find more beneficial with our own direct experience, and how do I feel if I'm being bombarded with all of that, and if it is affecting me, then how will others feel if I bombard with them all of that? So just to have that kind of understandings and all of that can help us to be more kind of balanced and create that kind of more balanced and stable. Yeah. And then the last one, do not wish for gratitude. So, when you are trying to practice the Dharma, we don't wish for any reward. We don't expect any reward. When we are doing meditation, any form of practice, when we are trying to be kind, helpful, benefit to others, trying to not to have any expectations of reward, feeling gratitude from others, So if you don't have that kind of expectations, your practice become better, whatever you are doing. When any form of practice is involved with expectations, then that it become obstacles. That having that expectations, itself become obstacles. Without expectations, then you are more likely to enjoy your practice. And the practice itself is a reward. When you help someone with out of compassion, out of kindness, out of care, that itself is the reward. When you meditate, meditating itself is the reward, whether you have realization or not. Whatever form of practice you are doing, studying, practicing, whatever doing, that itself is the reward. So instead of expecting certain reward, we try to practice without any sense of getting reward, and especially when we are, trying to serve, trying to help, trying to benefit, as I mentioned before, individuals or the society, organizations, the countries, the whole world, sentient beings, we do it because we want to do it. We do it because there is need of your help, and you have the capacity, ability, and you want to do it because of your sense of understanding, compassion, that because you want to do it, that is it. And instead of having any expectations for gratitude, for them to acknowledge you, for them to acknowledge your help, for them to, say nice things, praise you, say nice things about you, or to be able to them to share with others, and all of that, sometimes if we have that kind of expectations of that, then one, it can lead us to disappointments. It can discourage us from being kind and compassionate and helping others, because you help and be kind, and then someone didn't respond in a way that you expected, then you think, oh, there's no point of helping them, there's no point of being kind, and so it become a disappointing, it become a cause of discouragement, and then it only kind of uplift, it only enhance our egoistic mind, Instead, we don't have any expectations for any kind of reward, any kind of acknowledgement, without any kind of, we just do it because we want to do it, and then it becomes whatever practice you do, it becomes much more powerful, authentic, honest, and sincerely. Your practice become more sincere, honest, authentic, and more powerful and effective. But when there is some kind of expectation or some kind of reward and all of that, and then our practice become less sincere, less honest, less authentic, less effective, less powerful. So I think that is, so with that, I think, so then this concludes the quotation from the Geshe Chekawa, who has an experience of awakening mind, the Bodhicitta mind, who have developed Bodhicitta mind himself. And then he said, my manifold aspirations have been given rise to humiliations, humiliating criticism and suffering, and by having received instruction for taming the misconception of self, even if I have to die, I have no regret. So just as Geshe Chekawa, he writes, he has faced in his life humiliations, criticisms, a lot of suffering in his life during the period of his life, a lot of time, But then he received this teaching on Lojongs from his teachers, and he tried to apply those teachings in his life. And having applied those teachings in his life, when he's humiliated, when he was criticized, when he was experiencing a lot of suffering and pain and difficulties, he was able to transform them into a path, into a source of happiness, source of path, and thereby now he said he had no regret, even if he had to die now, he has no regret, because he had been able to utilize all his life and circumstance his life, transform them into the path. as a way to practice. And so therefore, he said he has no regret at all, even if he had to die immediately now. And I think that is incredible state to be in, that if the doctor says, today is your last day, you are ready, you have no regret. To be able to be in that state of mind is, so much peace, calm, stability. Because even the doctor says, today is your last day, it's not going to affect you. You have no regret. You are ready to go anytime. And he was able to reach in that state, at that state, through the practice of these Lojongs. If we can reach that point, that would be a wonderful place to be. Have no regret and ready to go anytime. So I think that concludes the 7-point of mind training. Let me see if there might be some questions. No. Another translation, Geshe Chekawa said, do not pickle as changing frequently. Another student says, I did not request a meditation, but could it be on pure joy? I guess maybe if there is a pure joy in me that I could do that, maybe I could do that, but there is no pure joy in me. So I don't know how I can do that. Maybe we can do a pure stress. That one, maybe I might have some experience. Yeah, again, maybe there is, is it possible to receive loan? Again, I already mentioned, I cannot give loan like that, I'm not highly qualified teachers who can do by, and I think I have mentioned quite a few times before, by online. So I guess maybe we can do, the time is also running out, we can do a very short meditation on rejoicing, and again, I guess the person who requested last time was not here, so I guess maybe we can try to do rejoicing on our own virtues, our own goodness, maybe. So try to relax and quiet your mind by focusing on the breath, few moments. Then we can think maybe this meditation help us to be more open, more positive about ourselves. Only when we are positive with ourselves, then we will be able to see more positive in others. And may it become cause and conditions to attain our highest potential, fully awakened state for the benefit of all sentient beings. So first of all, maybe we can try to rejoice for our good health. How grateful, thankful, wonderful that we have good health. Even though some of us might have some issues, but relatively, compared to so many others, we still have some quite good health. And we can feel good and rejoice for our, relationship situations. Again, even though we might not have the best, and the perfect relationship, whether it is with our partners, children, parents, friends, students, teachers, relatively, we still have quite good, especially with some of them, really good. So fortunate. And we rejoice to our, job or financial situations. Again, even though it might not be perfect and the best, but compared to so many others in the world who are doing great, so fortunate, so grateful. Then we can rejoice that we have met the Dharma, so rare. So many people in the world and other sentient beings struggle to meet the Dharma, never made it. Not only we met the Dharma, we have some interest having that interest and some faith is incredible. It's incredible virtues. Without a strong positive karma, it will be very difficult. Not only we have these virtues of interest and faith in Dharma, we are trying to learn and study as much as possible. So wonderful. Some who have met the Dharma, there was no interest and faith in Dharma. Some of them, even they have faith, they didn't have time or they didn't unable to study. And not only study, we have been trying to apply and integrate them as much as possible. We are not perfect, definitely, at the moment. We have our own many flaws, shortcomings, but it's wonderful. Even it's not easy, we're trying. To apply, integrate, and practice. And even so in such a difficult environment and time, trying to implement become even more precious, even more virtuous. And not only we are trying to implement and apply by implementing, applying, and practicing, there are times when we have a very positive state of mind, feeling love, compassion, sense of renunciations. Sometimes feeling of strong devotion, faith. So even though it's not every day, all the time, but time to time, we have these positive thoughts, good thoughts. Each of those positive thoughts, good thoughts, are so precious. Even though it's not natural at the moment, it's spontaneous. But each time we do practice meditation, we try to think of all sentient beings in our motivations. Each time we try to dedicate for all sentient beings. That is such a wonderful, such a precious, unbelievable thought for all sentient beings' well-being. So we can really rejoice. And we rejoice in having taken the precept of the refuge, lay precepts, Bodhisattva, Tantric, and all these different precepts. Again, even we are not perfect, but we had the best intentions, wanting to improve, wanting to be better. And that's why we take those precepts. And even we're not perfect, but we are trying to keep them as well, pure as possible. Thereby trying to live more ethical, more moral life. And trying to develop our concentration and wisdom through our meditation practice, and to be able to increase a little bit of that, improve a little bit of that. So wonderful. And, time to time, whenever we hear, whenever we see the pain and suffering of others, we wish we could help them. We wish we could solve their problems. That compassionate thought arising. And not only sometimes we have that compassionate thoughts, that wish, sometimes we reach out and contribute in whatever way, small way we can. Through our actions, through our act. And sometimes even we can't help them directly, we keep them in our prayer dedications. All of these are incredible, precious virtues. Unbelievable. And fundamentally, we have this Buddha nature. On fundamental level, our mind is totally pure, undiluted, unpolluted in its nature. That is what we are, who we are on fundamental level. That purity, compassionate nature, the Buddha nature, the goodness. So wonderful. And try to be in that state, that fundamental state of purity, undiluted, unpolluted. And trying to experience that purity and that joyfulness of that purity. Where our mind is free from all this obscuration, all the defilements, all the faulties mind. In that fundamental purity mind, there's such a blissfulness, joyfulness, peacefulness. In that state of mind, there is no me, others, them, us, good, bad. And all the problems, defect, faulties that come through that. Total peacefulness, joy. Then we dedicate all the virtues that we have created to be able to achieve fully enlightenment and liberate all sentient beings to that enlightened state. Okay. So I think that is just okay. I think maybe so. Yeah, we dedicate to the final dedications. This ground anointed with perfume, strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru and four continents, the sun and the moon. I imagine this at Buddha field and offer it. May all living beings enjoy this pure land. May my venerable Lama's light be firm, his white divine action spread in 10 directions. May the torch of teaching of Lojong always remain, dispelling the darkness of all beings in the three realms. Idam Gururana Mendala Kaniyatayami. So again, while we recite the words slowly, try to feel as much as possible. May all beings everywhere plagued by the suffering of body and mind obtain an ocean of happiness and joy by virtues of my merit. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depressions. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those who with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness and prosperity. And may there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicine be effective and wholesome prayer bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever disease they are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightening cease to be afraid and those bound be free. May the powerless find power and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. The wish-granting, wish-fulfilling jewel, source of every single benefit and happiness in this world, to the incomparable kind in Zegyazo, I beseech, may all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. So thank you, and again, from next week, maybe I don't know, not next week, but a week after that, Venerable not Gen Dongla will be teaching on Sunday, and I hope you will be able to again join his teachings and continue to be inspired. You know, we always need to be reminded a lot of the message that we have been sharing throughout these 6 months, going through the Lojong. Many of you know, you know that, but sometimes it's not just about knowing. Sometimes we need to be reminded all the time, and so I think, yeah. So I think try to attend as much as possible when possible. And so, yeah, I will say that. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a good day. Thank you.